first pictures that here I am, letting it run through my fingers.
So when you see stuff like this, it becomes a real wonder. You begin to wonder, is this what people voted for? I mean, is this making America great again? If it ever was, really. The problem with the ban, or the supposed ban, which has already been lifted now by a Brooklyn judge, a Brooklyn federal judge here in New York State, is that I get that, you're trying to keep the borders safe, or you're trying to keep certain threats out. But one of the main problems with, other than the fact that it's discrimination, is also that it makes it unsafe for Americans that travel abroad or to any of these Muslim countries or just overseas in general. I mean, because of the vetting process and all the things involved, it doesn't really come off as very diplomatic, very inviting, in line with the, tenets of American society. Stuff like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Or just, the simplistic things is, we find these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. Or us facing tyranny and, discrimination and, refusing to be intolerant of people regardless of their race, creed, color, all these different ideas that, are known to make up American society. We do have our ugly history though, with slavery, bigotry, homophobia, xenophobia, you name it, anti-Semitic behavior, anti-Semitism. The reason I bring all this up is because when you do things like this ban, from these various Muslim countries, across the Middle Eastern region, it brings up these old wounds, and creates new ones. We can go back to sort of an isolationism that came, I think, in World War II, before World War II, but that only cuts us off to the world. That only puts us in worse standing with those folks out there, which live in a global society, This doesn't help, You don't need me to say that, but you just look at the divisiveness that it causes in the Middle Eastern region, that it causes in a religious context, that it causes in a social context, just the decency as human beings. I mean, I get folks want to protect the borders and do the security thing and, the background checks. I mean, do your background checks, do the security stuff. But the means by which we do it, sends a clear message, You can say it's not discrimination. You can say it's not against Muslim countries. You can say it's not against immigrants. You can say it's not against a certain class of people or certain religion. But it's an old saying that the perception is greater than reality. People may perceive it one way, and that perception can become the reality of, what's going on. So then it begs the question is, what's it all about? What does it all mean? If we don't hear each other, if we don't take the time out to appreciate each other for our differences, then all we do is create divisions. And all we do is pass that down through the generations. And that's relatively easy to do. I would say it could be different, but folks know that already. I don't have to hit you with the hope and change message. It's more or less like, what happens to our future generations? What happens if we go down this road, of divisive politics, intolerance, misunderstandings and misdirections in all types of ways, all kind of negative behavior. I mean, where do we go? You know, where do we go? As the protests continue and the executive orders are still signed, one after the other, the repeal of Obamacare, the building of a wall, if that ever happens, the miscommunications with world leaders, where does it all go? It's as the saying goes, I forget who says this, but first look to understand, then to be understood. First look to love, then be loved. I think too many times we miss that and getting caught up in our differences. But what makes us different is what makes us special. It should be the things that we celebrate in each other, as opposed to the reason why we divide ourselves and cause divisions amongst each other. Just something to think about.